5:01 local time. On the bridge, the Night Watch is in the middle of a routine handover when the surface radar marks something unexpected. First one contact appears, then another, and then several more spread across the screen in a loose arc. No loud alert follows. Not yet. The officer of the deck leans in toward the console. The bearings refresh, the ranges tighten. These contacts are not drifting with the current, they are moving with purpose. Multiple unidentified surface contacts. The note is entered into the log quietly. No one raises their voice, no one has to. At first, the tracks look ordinary. 12 knots, 13, speeds that could belong to commercial traffic. On paper, nothing stands out, but the pattern is wrong. The spacing is too balanced, too controlled. They are not following a shipping route. They are not simply crossing the carrier's path. They are closing in. At 5:20, every track begins to accelerate. 17 knots, then 20. 8 contacts are now confirmed. Outside, the sea still appears empty. The carrier's island rises as a dark shape against the first hints of morning light. On the flight deck, aircraft remain secured and silent. From a distance, nothing about the scene looks urgent. That is exactly why the moment matters. Inside the operations center, different screens repeat the same message from different angles. Radar, optical feeds, electronic signals. The picture is clear, almost too clear. A recommendation comes forward. Bring the active systems fully online. The response is calm. Set condition 3. Key stations manned. Across the ship, steel echoes under moving boots as sailors shift into position with practiced efficiency. Hatches are secured. Consoles come fully awake. Systems move from standby to ready without drama and without a ship-wide announcement. Just preparation. Then the contacts change course, not randomly, not as one single line. They split into elements, pairs, and small groups, each adjusting by only a few degrees. Small changes, but enough to reshape the water ahead. This is not simple transit. This is a maneuver. Closest point calculations update in real time. The numbers are not critical yet, but they are heading in the wrong direction. It is the kind of approach designed to force choices. On the bridge, the captain arrives without ceremony, his eyes already fixed on the plot. He does not ask for a full briefing. He reads the room. He reads the data. How many? 8. Surface combatants. Nationality? Pending confirmation. At 0526, long-range optics catch the first hull shapes on the horizon. Gray steel, sharp lines, naval vessels, not patrol craft, not support ships. Electronic signatures match known profiles. The answer lands silently. 8 naval combatants. Their speed rises again. 24 knots now. White water begins trailing behind distant bows. The formation tightens. 2 ships angle toward the carrier's port quarter. Another pair moves wide to starboard, stretching the arc. A box is taking shape. Closest point of approach under 5 nautical miles, the operations center reports. And decreasing. The carrier does not alter course. That matters. In these waters, turning too early can look like uncertainty. Turning too late can send the wrong signal. The margin is narrow. The captain knows it. So does the other side. The first bridge-to-bridge call goes out. Standard wording. International tone. Calm, professional, unmistakable. No response. A second call follows on another frequency. Still nothing. The silence is not a technical issue. It is a message. Beyond the carrier's flanks, the escort ships adjust their posture in subtle ways. Radar modes shift. Tracking systems align. Nothing is pushed too far, but everything is ready. Every detail is recorded. Every bearing change, every shift in speed, every adjustment in formation. This is no longer just navigation. This is documentation. One of the approaching ships moves closer than the others. Through the optics, its bow wave grows larger. It is testing distance, testing reaction. Closest point of approach now 3.8 miles. The captain gives one quiet nod. He does not need to announce control. Everyone already understands. Hold course, hold speed. A simple order with serious weight behind it. The carrier continues forward, a moving city of steel crossing open water and refusing to show hesitation. Around it, 8 naval vessels keep closing their angles, tightening the space, pressing the moment thinner and thinner. No one escalates. No one breaks the silence with dramatic warnings. But every system aboard the carrier is awake now, watching the time, watching the sea, waiting to see which line will be tested first. 5:33 local time. The geometry becomes firm. It is not a rush forward, it is containment. On the bridge, the plot refreshes every few seconds. Lines shift. Predicted tracks redraw. Projected paths begin crossing in places no one likes. Formation stabilizing, the operations center reports. They are building a surface screen. The captain studies the display. He knows the logic, not from this exact place and not with this many ships involved, but the method is familiar. Make the other side respond. Shorten the time available to decide. create the appearance that the situation is already controlled. The carrier does not slow. It does not turn. That decision is intentional. A faint vibration moves through the deck as the ship keeps its speed. Above, nothing dramatic changes. No aircraft begin rolling. No obvious display is made. To someone watching from far away, it might look like indifference. It is not. Below decks, every sensor is now working with sharper focus. Passive systems listen for changes in machinery noise. Electronic surveillance tracks signals, sorting frequencies, pulse patterns, and power levels. Each ship beyond the horizon is revealing something, even without speaking directly. The closest vessel shifts heading by 3 degrees, just enough to make the calculations change, just enough to send a message. We are here. Closest point of approach, trending down to 3 miles, the operations center calls. Recommend airborne presence. The reply comes immediately. Launch the helicopter. On the flight deck, rotors begin to turn. The sound cuts through the morning air, clear and unmistakable. Not dramatic, not confrontational, just present. The helicopter lifts cleanly from the deck, clears the carrier, and moves forward into the pale light. It does not rush toward the contacts. It does not pass over them. It holds altitude off to the side, keeping distance while its cameras send sharp imagery back to the ship. From above, the pattern becomes impossible to miss. 8 hulls curve around one point like fingers closing around open space. The other ships respond, not sharply, but enough to notice. One reduces speed by a knot, another widens its arc. They are recalculating, not leaving. The helicopter overhead has changed the equation. On the bridge, the captain watches the live feed in silence. Another call is sent out, this time relayed through the helicopter. The wording is clear, professional, and recorded. No answer. The silence remains part of the message. One of the ships on the flank begins closing more firmly than the others. Its bow wave sharpens. Its projected line moves closer to the carrier's path. This vessel wants attention. It wants the carrier to adjust first. Closest point of approach now, 2.7 nautical miles. The operations center reports. That is closer than anyone prefers. The carrier still holds course. Beyond visual range, the escort screen tightens by small degrees. A slight heading change here, a minor speed adjustment there. No one makes a dramatic move. No one wants to be the one who changes the tone of the encounter. The helicopter banks gently, sliding sideways to keep the closest ship centered in frame. The optical zoom sharpens the image. Deck details, crew movement, antenna arrays. Every second is time-stamped. Every movement preserved. This is no longer only about presence. It is about the record. The box compresses again. The water ahead of the carrier narrows in practical terms, now measured less in miles than in minutes. A poor decision would leave very little room to correct. The captain finally speaks. Log every bearing change. All of them. Aye, sir. His voice is calm, almost distant. That calm spreads through the bridge. Then a small change moves through the opposing formation. The closest ship eases back by half a knot. Another, farther out, pauses in its line and then corrects to avoid crossing too close to another track. The box remains, but it is no longer solid. Pressure is moving in both directions now. Silent agreement begins to weaken under pressure. Closest point of approach stabilizing, the operations center reports. No further decrease. The captain gives a single nod. The carrier keeps moving forward, unchanged, cutting through the narrowing water as if nothing around it has the power to alter its path. The 8 naval vessels remain close, closer than anyone would prefer, but the shape around the carrier has lost its sharpness. What was meant to force a reaction has created hesitation instead. No dramatic exchange, no raised voices. Just steel, movement, and a tense encounter measured in degrees, seconds, and discipline, with both sides waiting to see who adjusts first. 6:01 local time. The situation settles into a delicate balance. 8 naval vessels remain within visual range, their wakes carving long parallel lines across the surface. None press forward now. None pull away. The pressure stays in place, controlled and deliberate. This is the phase where errors are most likely, not because of speed, but because of fatigue, confidence, and too many crews trying to maintain perfect timing for too long. On the bridge, the captain stands with his hands folded behind his back, his eyes shifting between the horizon and the tactical plot. He does not rush the moment, he lets it unfold. Maintain posture, he says quietly. No escalation. Below decks, the ship's systems continue their steady work. Radar sweeps remain consistent. Electronic surveillance records every signal spike and every brief change in strength. Passive sensors listen for shifts in engine tone that might suggest a sudden change in movement. The carrier's escorts hold their positions beyond easy sight, unseen by the naked eye, but fully present in the calculations surrounding the carrier. Their role is not to intimidate. Their role is to limit choices. The helicopter continues its orbit at a respectful distance. Its cameras capture the scene from above, turning a complicated pattern into something clear. The feed shows what radar alone cannot. Small pauses among deck crews, subtle changes in spacing, the human uncertainty behind the steel. One of the opposing vessels briefly increases power on its surface search radar. The spike lasts only a moment, almost cautious in its brevity. It is noticed. Emission logged, the operations center reports. Nothing else needs to be said. The carrier sends a third message. Not a warning, not a demand. Simply a calm statement of position and intent, clear, professional, and recorded. Again, there is no answer, but the effect can be seen. Two of the vessels begin to drift out of perfect alignment. Not enough to appear like a departure, but enough to disturb the symmetry. Their wake patterns overlap awkwardly before correcting. It is small, it is revealing. The captain watches without comment. The forward vessel, the same one that tested distance earlier, makes a slight correction to starboard. 3 degrees, almost invisible without instruments. It is the first clear concession. Track 7 adjusting heading, the operations center confirms. The carrier gives no visible response. It does not need to. The helicopter shifts again, widening its orbit so all 8 vessels remain within the frame. Its presence is steady, neutral, and impossible to ignore. The message is understood without being spoken. Nothing here is hidden. Nothing here is unclear. The opposing formation begins to show signs of strain. Holding a tight surface screen requires precision and trust. Precision fades over time. Trust weakens when no one wants to be responsible for pushing the situation too far. Another vessel reduces speed slightly. Its wake shortens. The box loosens, not breaking apart but softening around the edges. Closest point of approach increasing slightly, the operations center reports. Up to 3.1 nautical miles. The captain nods once. On the horizon, sunlight fully clears the waterline, flattening the shadows and revealing every hull in sharp detail. This is no longer a movement hidden by early morning darkness. Everything is visible now, to cameras, to satellites, to anyone observing from above. Visibility changes behavior. The carrier continues forward steady and unyielding. No course change, no speed adjustment. It has become the fixed point around which everything else must adapt. Then the helicopter receives the order. Return to ship. The aircraft climbs smoothly, banks away, and turns back toward the carrier. Its rotors remain steady. Its work is complete. It never crossed directly over a single deck. It never made a dramatic move. And yet, the moment it leaves the overhead position, the change is immediate. Without that presence above them, the opposing vessels hesitate. One corrects too far, then steadies. Another falls slightly behind its place in the pattern. The box is no longer a box. It is a loose arc. A final bearing change moves through the formation like a long breath being released. 2 vessels fall back half a mile. Not a retreat, just distance, just space, enough space. The carrier records every change, every second, every angle. This was never about making the other side leave. It was about control. Control of timing, control of the story, control of risk. And now that control has shifted, no force is used, no dramatic warning is delivered. Just a clear demonstration that sometimes the strongest response is the one that removes uncertainty without leaving anything broken behind. 6:32 local time. At first, the change is almost too small to notice. One of the vessels on the outer arc eases away from its line, drifting a few degrees wider. Its wake bends outward instead of holding close. It looks routine, until the others do not follow. The symmetry is gone. On the tactical display, the clean geometry begins to come apart. Predicted tracks no longer cross with the same precision. Closest point values rise, shift, then settle farther out. Formation integrity degrading. The operations center reports. No one reacts outwardly. This is the moment they have been waiting for. Not a dramatic moment, but the quiet one where control begins to slip. Another vessel hesitates. It keeps speed for a few seconds too long, then eases back by a knot, opening an uneven gap in the arc. The ship behind it adjusts to avoid crowding the line. That adjustment forces a third vessel to change course. A chain reaction begins. This is the price of coordination without clear command. 8 hulls, 8 captains, each trying to maintain posture without becoming the one who takes things too far. The carrier continues forward, unmoved by the slow unraveling around it. The most assertive vessel, the one that tested distance earlier, now finds itself nearly alone at the edge of the screen. Its nearest support is farther away than before. The advantage it tried to create has disappeared. It corrects course again, this time with more certainty. Track 7 opening distance, the operations center confirms. For the first time, the captain gives a single word, noted. What remains of the box loosens into a staggered line. The opposing vessels are no longer closing as one. Each now holds its own buffer, its own margin of safety. The shared pressure that once tied them together is dissolving. The carrier does not take advantage of the moment. That restraint matters. The helicopter is secured on deck. Flight operations return to their normal rhythm. From a distance, the carrier looks unchanged, steady, predictable, almost ordinary. That appearance is intentional. One by one, the surrounding vessels begin to peel away. Not sharply, not theatrically, but unmistakably. A turn to port here. A slight reduction in speed there. Each movement creates more water, more breathing room. No signal announces the separation. There is no formal ending, only motion. The captain watches the tracks slide outward. "Log all course changes," he says. "Timestamp everything." "Aye, sir." The nearest vessel moves beyond 4 nautical miles, then 5. The others follow, spreading back into open water. Their formation dissolves into separate routes. The tension fades slowly, like pressure leaving a sealed compartment. Ahead, the ocean opens again. The carrier's path is clear, unobstructed, and no longer contested. But the event is not truly over. Every sensor record, every optical frame, every electronic signature is already being gathered into a report that will travel far beyond this stretch of sea. What happened here will be studied, replayed, and remembered. The carrier maintains course and speed. No chase, no commentary, no celebration. That silence is deliberate. This was not an encounter meant to be won in a single visible moment. It was a test of discipline, resolve, and how pressure can be applied, absorbed, and reversed without crossing the line. The opposing vessels fade into the distance, still visible, but no longer shaping the situation. Surface picture normalized, the operations center reports. The captain nods, satisfied. He knows exactly what happened, even if most people will never see it unfold in real time. A formation broke without a single strike. Pressure reversed without escalation, and the carrier moved straight through the center of it all, unchanged, unchallenged, and clearly in control. 7:04 local time. The sea looks ordinary again. From the flight deck, there is no sign that 8 naval vessels had closed in less than an hour earlier. The horizon is wide, the water is calm. The carrier continues on course, engines steady, wake clean and unbroken. But beneath the surface, in both the physical and procedural sense, the work has already begun. On the bridge, the posture relaxes step by step. Readiness levels come down methodically, not all at once. Systems remain active, logs continue to run, but the sharp edge of the moment has passed. This is how professionals disengage. No ceremony, no visible relief, no one letting the moment show too much on their face. Stand down to routine operations. The captain orders. No one celebrates, no one speaks out of turn. Inside the operations center, the data is already being assembled. Timestamps are lined up, bearing changes are checked against video feeds, signal spikes are matched to specific hulls. Nothing is ignored, nothing is guessed. This is where the real result of the encounter begins to take form. Every movement from the opposing naval vessels, every pause, every course correction becomes part of a wider pattern. Not for headlines, not for public statements, for understanding. The helicopter crew begins its debrief. Their words are technical: altitude, angle, distance, visual confirmation. No one talks about emotion. There is no need. The footage says enough on its own. Above them, the flight deck returns to its familiar rhythm. Aircraft are inspected. Tie-downs are checked. Crews move through routine tasks with practiced calm. From the outside, the carrier looks ordinary again. That is part of the design. The escort ships send in their own observations through secure channels. Their perspective fills in what the carrier could not see directly, the pieces that unfolded just beyond visual range. Together, the records form a story that does not need exaggeration. Outwardly, nothing has changed. But far from this stretch of ocean, the meaning of what happened is already moving. It will shape future routes, future calculations, future decisions about distance, pressure, and restraint. It will influence how close is considered too close, and how steady behavior is understood when the situation tightens. This is the part most people never witness. The captain reviews the final summary. It is brief, factual, and stripped of unnecessary language. Every line is precise because precision carries weight. He signs off without comment. The carrier continues forward exactly as it did before the first contact appeared on radar. No deviation, no adjustment, no visible reaction to the absence of the vessels that had surrounded it. That silence is intentional too. The lesson of the encounter is not about dominance. It is about discipline. It is about knowing that escalation is a choice, not a certainty. It is about understanding that control does not always need a dramatic display. Sometimes the strongest response is the quiet one. In the distance, the last opposing vessel slips below the horizon, now just another gray shape disappearing into the open sea. Its presence fades from view, but its movements remain recorded. The ocean returns to what it was before, wide, calm, and indifferent, and the carrier moves on, No live fire, no visible harm, no public statement required. Just a tense encounter resolved, documented from beginning to end, and filed away as another example of how modern naval power is truly exercised. Not through pressure alone, but through awareness, restraint, and the confidence to hold the line when it matters most. This is what control looks like when almost no one is watching.